Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Garima Jain from Rajasthan Technical University. Today we are going to talk on module Performance Appraisal from the paper Human Resource Management. After completing this module, the students will be able to understand the meaning and definition of performance appraisal. They should know the process of performance appraisal. They should know the meaning of performance management and understand the objectives and importance of performance appraisal. The history of performance appraisal is quite brief. Its roots in the early 20th century can be traced by Taylor's pioneering time and motion studies, but this is not very helpful, for the same may be said about almost everything in the field of modern human resource management, as a distinct and formal management procedure used in the evaluation of work performance. Appraisal really dates from the time of Second World War, about 70 years ago. Yet, in a broader sense, the practice of performance appraisal is an ancient art. In the scales of things, historical, it might well lay claim to being the world's second oldest profession. There it says Dulwich, a basic human tendency to make judgments about those one is working with as well as about oneself. Appraisal, it seems, is both inevitable and universal. In the absence of structured system, people will tend to judge the work performance of others, including the subordinates, informally and arbitrarily. The hardwired human inclination to judge can cause big problems in the workplace. Without a structured system of appraisal, there is little, if any, chance of ensuring that such judgments will be accurate, fair, and useful. Performance appraisal began as an attempt to rationally correlate rewards and outcomes. That is, appraisal was used to decide whether or not the salary or wage of an individual employee was justified. The process was firmly linked to material outcomes. If an employee's performance was found to be less than ideal, a cut in pay would follow. On the other hand, if their performance was better than the supervisor expected, a pay raise was in order. Little consideration, if any, was given to the developmental possibilities of appraisal. It was felt that a cut in pay or a rise would provide the only required impetus for an employee to either improve or continue to perform well. Sometimes this basic system succeeded in getting the results that were intended, but more often than not, it failed. Now, the modern performance appraisal, what does it tell? It may be defined as a structured formal interaction between a subordinate and a supervisor that usually takes the form of a periodic interview, that is annual or semi-annual, in which the work performance of the subordinate is examined and discussed with a view to identify weaknesses and strengths as well as opportunities for improvements and skill development. Then in many organizations, but not all, appraisal its results are used either directly or indirectly to help determine reward outcomes. That is, the appraisal results are used to identify the better performing employees who should get the majority of available merit pay, increases, bonuses, and promotions. By the same token, appraisal results are used to identify the poor performers who may require some form of counseling or, in extreme cases, demotion, dismissal, or decreases in pay. Organizations need to be aware of laws in their country that might restrict their capacity to dismiss employees or decrease pay. Whether this is an appropriate use of performance appraisal, the assignment and justification of rewards and penalties is a very uncertain and contentious matter. Introduction. Performance is about how things are done as well as what is done. Performance is the degree of accomplishment of the tasks of a particular job. It reflects how much and how the requirements of the job have been fulfilled. Performance is measured in terms of results. It is the achievement of quantified objectives. It also includes appropriate behavior and the effective use of the required knowledge, skills, and competencies. Performance in a given situation is the outcome of interrelationships between effort, abilities, and role perception. Effort is the amount of energy used by an employee or how much he is motivated to do the job. Abilities are personal characteristics needed to perform the job. Role perception is the direction in which employees channelize their efforts. Activities and behavior which are necessary to perform the job define their role perception. Certain level of proficiency and a minimum level of all the three determinants of performance are needed to do a job. If an employee puts tremendous efforts and has excellent abilities but lacks good understanding of his role, performance will not be as high as possible. Similarly, if an employee puts in a lot of effort and understands his or her job but lacks the ability, his performance will not be considered good. Same way, if he or she has good ability, understands his role but hardly puts effort, performance will not be good. Weakness in one area can be overcome to a certain extent by the strength of other areas, but a combination of all the determinants at a higher level could result in a higher level of performance. Now we will talk about performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is an important topic of human resource management. Performance appraisal in an objective assessment of an individual's performance against well-defined benchmarks. The performance is measured against factors like job knowledge, quality, and quantity of output, initiative, leadership abilities, supervision, cooperation, versatility, health, and many other factors. Assessment should not be confined to the past performance. The definition of performance appraisal. Personal appraisals refer to the formal procedures used in working organizations to evaluate the personalities and contributions and potential of group members. Performance appraisal is the systematic evaluation of the individual with respect to his performance on the job and his potential for development. Now we shall see the characteristics of performance appraisal. It is a systematic evaluation of an employee's strengths and weakness in terms of job requirements. It is a continuous process wherein the evaluations are made periodically according to a definite plan. It is a means of self-control, judgment, and evaluating potentiality. The objectives of performance appraisal. Performance appraisal gives the opportunity to employees to know where they stand so far as to their performance is concerned and also guide them and assist them for their further development. Performance appraisal improves the communication by helping employees to have a dialogue between superior and subordinate. It helps in confirming the completion of probationary period of new entrants in the organization. It helps in promoting the employees based on their competence and performance. Competitive advantage by performance appraisal. Performance appraisal leads to competitive advantage to an organization by first point is improving performance. An effective appraisal system can contribute to competitive advantage by improving employee job performance in two ways. Firstly, by directing employee behavior towards organizational goals and by monitoring the behavior to ensure that the goals are met. Second point is making correct decisions. Performance appraisal is a very useful in making decisions on issues like pay raise, promotion, transfer, training, discharges, etc. Right decisions in each of these can give competitive strength to a firm. For example, if promotion is done on the basis of performance, then the employee is motivated and enhances his performance further. Third is ensuring legal compliance. If promotions are based on factors other than performance, it might be a problem for an organization as they might have to fight some legal battle. So, the companies can minimize this by giving fair and accurate results. Fourth point is minimizing job dissatisfaction and employee turnover. Employees become frustrated if they come to know that the ratings are inaccurate and unfair. Due to this, job dissatisfaction sets in and more employees leave the job. Next point is of values and behavior. An organization needs a strategy in which there is consistency between values and behavior. Employees always tend to behave in a manner that they feel will be rewarded. The performance appraisal systems helps to elicit feedback on the consistency of the values behavior link. The last is ensuring consistency between organization strategy and behavior. The performance appraisal system serves many organizational objectives and goals. Whatever be the strategy of an organization, performance appraisal has definite roles in all of them. The process of performance appraisal. The process of performance appraisal begins with the setting standards, communicating the standards, measuring performance, comparing performance with standards, discussing results with employees, and taking corrective action. Now we shall discuss in detail the process of performance appraisal. The first point is setting standards. The process of performance appraisal begins with the establishment of performance standards. At the time of designing a job and formulating a job description, performance standards are developed for the position. These standards should be discussed with the supervisor to find out which different factors are to be incorporated and weights to be given to each factor and later on used for appraising the performance of employees. Next comes the communicating the standards. Next step is to communicate these standards to the employees. To make communication effective, feedback is necessary from the subordinate to the supervisor. Satisfactory feedback ensures that the information communicated by the manager has been received and understood in the way it was intended. Measuring performance is the next point. In this step, performance is measured. Four sources of information are used for measuring performance. First is personal observation, second, statistical reports, third, oral reports, fourth, written reports. Comparing performance with standards. In this particular step, gaps are identified between actual performance and standards. The employee is evaluated and judged of his potential for growth and development. Discussing results with the employees. The results are discussed with the employees. The strengths and weaknesses of employees are discussed so that their performance is improved. This is the last step, that is taking corrective action. Coaching, counseling, and training may be imparted for taking corrective action. Special assignments and projects may be given to the employees in order that their performance is improved. Now we will discuss about the importance of performance appraisal. Human resource planning, recruitment and selection, training and development, career planning and development, compensation programs, internal employee relation, assessment of potential of employees. The first point is human resource planning. When the assessment of the human resource is made, then there should be proper information available that can explain the potential and effectiveness of all the employees of the organization, especially the top executives. The recruitment and selection. The future performance of job applicants can be predicted through the performance evaluation. Training and development. The requirements for the training and development of an employee can be assessed through performance appraisal. The deficiencies regarding the performance of employee is identified, which helps the management to design certain training and development programs that assist the relative employee to cover their deficiencies. Career planning and development. The career planning and development can be analyzed from both the individual as well as the organizational perspectives. Compensation programs. The decisions about the increment in the pay are based on the results of the performance appraisal. Internal employee relation. The decision making in the fields of internal employee relations is supported by the data of performance appraisal like promotion, demotion, motivation, termination, transfer, layoff, etc. Now comes the assessment of potential of employee. With the help of performance appraisal, the potential of the employee can be assessed. Now we shall study the limitations of performance appraisal. Some of the major limitations of performance appraisal are bias of appraiser, ambiguity in standards, insufficient evidence, several qualities remain without appraisal, leniency or strictness tendency, average rating problem, and influence of man's job and similarity error. Now we'll discuss each one of them. The bias of appraiser. The presence of halo effect in evaluation of employees is the biggest weakness of this method. A high rate is given to favored employees, whereas unfriendly employees are rated low. Then the second is the ambiguity in standards. If the standards are not clear, the supervisors may follow different standards for different employees. Then the third one is the insufficient evidence. An employee who can impress the boss may get a positive evaluation, though his impression in his own department may be very poor. In such cases, the performance appraisal will be superfluous. Then the several qualities remain without appraisal. That is, though performance appraisal, only few qualities of employees can be measured. All individuals differ from each other in terms of background, values, and behavior. Then the leniency or strictness tendency. Every evaluator has his own valuation procedure which is regarded as his own standard for evaluation. For example, some teachers are strict in evaluation of answer books whereas others are lenient. The lenient tendency is known as positive leniency error, whereas strict tendency is known as negative leniency error. The rating may be high or low depending upon the nature of evaluators. Then the average rating problem. In order to give very low or very high rating, the top managers are required to give reasons to justify the rating. The most common error committed is performance appraisal is to give average rating to all employees. Moreover, low rating antagonizes the subordinates. Next one is the influence of man's job. There is a tendency to give a high rating to highly paid jobs. So, a senior employee may get a higher rating than a junior employee. Then there is a error of similarity, that is similarity error. The evaluator tries to look those qualities in subordinates which he himself possesses. Those who show the similar characteristics are rated high. Now we will discuss another topic, that is performance management. It is different from performance appraisal. Performance management is a strategic and integrated approach to ensure sustained success to organizations by improving the performance of people who work for them and by developing the capabilities of teams and individual contributors. It is a means of getting better results by understanding and managing performance within an agreed framework of planned goals, standards, and competency requirements. It focuses people on doing the right things by clarifying their goals. We will discuss about the aims of performance management. It defines and documents job responsibility. It defines expectations. It provides guidelines and framework for employees and supervisors. It ensures that people are motivated to perform effectively and increase the commitment of employees. Further, continuing with the aims of performance management. A continuous dialogue must be there between managers and subordinates. Align individual performance expectations with organizational goals and provide opportunities to the individuals to express their aspirations and expectations about their work. We will come to know by this slide that what is the difference between performance appraisal and performance management. Performance appraisal means the analysis of an employee's performance and their caliber for future growth and development, whereas performance management is the management of human resources in an organization. Now we shall have comparison of performance appraisal and performance management in detail. First point of comparison is the meaning between them. Performance appraisal means the analysis of an employee's performance and their caliber for future growth and development, whereas performance management is the management of human resources in an organization. Then, performance appraisal is a system and performance management is a process. If we see at the nature, performance appraisal is very rigid and performance management is very flexible. Type of tool. Performance appraisal is an operational tool, whereas performance management is an strategic tool. Performance appraisal is owned by HR department, whereas performance management is owned by managers. Performance appraisal is conducted annually, whereas performance management is a continuous process. Approach of performance appraisal is individualistic, whereas performance management is holistic. Performance appraisal is focused on quantitative aspects, whereas performance management is having qualitative aspects. Corrections. Performance appraisal is retrospective in that nature and performance management is prospective. Balance scorecard. The balance scorecard is a strategic performance management tool, a semi-standard structured report supported by design methods and automation tools that can be used by managers to keep track of the execution of activities by the staff within their control and to monitor the consequences arising from these actions. Kaplan and Norton describe the innovation of the balanced scorecard as follows. Balanced scorecard retains traditional financial measures, but financial measures tell the story of past events, an adequate story for industrial age companies for which investments in long-term capabilities and customer relationships were not critical for success. These financial measures are inadequate, however, for guiding and evaluating the journey that information age companies must make to create future value through investment in customers, suppliers, employees, processes, technology, and innovation. Characteristics of balanced scorecard. It focuses on the strategic agenda of the organization concerned, the selection of a small number of data items to monitor, a mix of financial and non-financial data items. The characteristics of the balanced scorecard and its derivatives is the presentation of a mixture of financial and non-financial measures, each compared to a target value within a single concise report. The report is not meant to be a replacement for traditional financial or operational reports, but a scant summary that captures the information most relevant to those reading it. It is the method of which this most relevant information is determined. That is, the design processes used to select the content that most differentiates the various versions of the tool in circulation. So students, now let us summarize what we have studied in this module. Performance is the degree of accomplishment of the tasks of a particular job. It reflects how much and how the requirements of the job have been fulfilled. Performance is measured in terms of results. Performance appraisal is an objective assessment of an individual's performance against well defined benchmarks. The performance is measured against factors like job knowledge, quality and quantity of output, initiative, leadership abilities, supervision, cooperation, versatility, and health. Then we have studied about what is performance management. Performance management is a systematic process for improving organizational performance by developing the performance of individuals and teams. It is a means of managing performance within an agreed framework of planned goals, standards, and competency requirements. The Balance Scorecard is a strategic performance management tool that can be used by managers to keep track of the execution of activities by the staff within their control and to monitor the consequences arising from these actions. Thank you.